Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be having awesome dates. Well, I got a really good success story from you today. This particular guy, he says he's been following me for about 2 years now. He's read the book a total of 12 times. And he talks about, he said in the last couple of years, he's been out on countless dates with countless women. But most of them, after he went out with them a few times, he just realized he just really wasn't that into them. And then recently, he met this gal through the online dating app, Tinder. And because he had done so much practicing into the fundamentals, remember I say repetition's the mother of skill, excellence is not a singular act, it's a habit, you are what you do repeatedly. He was good, he was prepared, and the date just flowed easy and effortlessly. He sat down on his first date. Within 5 minutes, she's looking at his lips, and he knew what that meant. And he went for the kiss. Got no resistance at all. So it's another great success story. But this guy read the book 12 times so far. He's been on countless dates. He's been practicing because knowledge is only potential power. Knowledge only becomes power when you actually apply it, and that's what this guy did. That's why things flowed so easily. Because these kind of women that you have this kind of chemistry with, they don't come along every day. And the way you got to look at every rejection, every failure, every time you go out with somebody that's not into you or vice versa, that is just one more person that helps prepare you for these kinds of moments. Because when you screw up with a person like this, it stings for a while. This is not the kind of rejection that you get over in a couple of weeks. It might take you 6 months to a year because, again, these kind of people are very rare. It's like you think about it. How often do you meet a new best friend? You can remember when you met your best friend, and if you're, the older you get, you tend to look back in your life and you have a lot of different best friends as you grow and you move around and you go through life. Those things just happen. So there's just certain people that are going to come into your life and they're meant to be there. And the idea is you want to prepare for that. My book and my videos can help you do that. And the reason, again, why this guy has did so well and is doing so well, read the book, applied the fundamentals, and he practiced. So when fate brought the right girl to his life, it's like magical, something right out of the perfect love story. So I have a quote that I wrote, and then we're going to go through his email and see what he did. And so the quote says, "Love is about mutual bonding, connecting, excitement, enthusiasm, chemistry, attraction, giving, receiving, allowing, affection, growing, romance, acceptance, and no holding back. Most people who you find attractive will not feel the same way. Most of the people who find you attractive, you simply will not feel the same way. But there's a small number of people you will have animalistic and passionate chemistry with, and this will cause you both to feel like your meeting and being together was divinely orchestrated and meant to be. Most people will never experience this kind of explicit, true love, passion, and joy because they do not do the work that is necessary on themselves to prepare and become able to successfully attract their dream lover or lovers. And since they are too impatient and settle for mediocrity out of desperation and fear, they never circulate long enough to perfect their skills to reach their full relationship potential. Once you know what you want, you must be willing to pay the price to make it a reality." And like I talk about in my book, there's an exercise, and I even did a video several years ago about how to attract the perfect person for you, making a list of criteria, kind of like what I talk about in this list, which you can get this pad at Amazon.com. It's called, on the back it says, Knock Knock is the manufacturer, pros and cons. And what's cool is it's perforated. You can actually tear these in half because literally it's perforated right down the middle. So the pros, obviously, these are all the things that you want. And you write down everything you can think of. And then you got the cons, the things that are like, these are the deal breakers. These are the things that you don't want. And it's important to have that criteria and review it and focus on becoming that kind of person that you want to attract. But I've got those exercises that are in my book. And that helps you get clear about what you want. And maybe you're not totally crystal clear in the beginning and you haven't dated a lot. That's why it's so important to date around so you can know what you like and what you don't like. So let's go through his email. He says, "Hey coach, I just want to take the time to share another success story with you." Well, I always love great success stories. And obviously, judging by the feedback, it's very encouraging for people that may not be where you are, because it keeps you going, keeps you motivated, especially when you're seeing what other guys are doing and girls and how they're succeeding. He says, "At this point, I have been following your work for almost 2 years, and I've read your book 12 times, and when needed, I kept on reading paragraphs over and over again until the topic I'm looking to find an answer to is clear. I have to say that your videos do help a lot to understand the details, and therefore, I'm still watching them daily." I mean, that's pretty good. That's really dedication. He's just trying to get a little better each day. And what you observe in life, you participate in. And even if you read the book a lot, what's great about the videos is it helps you see different patterns and approach the same kind of problem from literally like 1,000 different directions. Because, I mean, let's face it, we all know some of what we need to know in order to be successful with members of the opposite sex. And so the idea is to fill in that knowledge gap, and where that knowledge gap exists is to take that new knowledge and apply it and become proficient and become skilled at it. So you can have a really great, easy, and effortless dating experience, and you can date the kind of people you want and have the kind of relationships you want for as long as you want to have them for. And it's a really powerful and liberating thing to be able to be in the kind of place where this guy is at, where you know this stuff and you're able to attract the kind of people you want in your life without turning them off. Because I know what it's like to every time you get somebody like this that comes along and you blow it, and you're 6 months, a year and a half later, you're thinking about what you did all that time ago, waiting for that next person that has an effect on you like this particular woman has on this guy. It's like when you experience pain, it's kind of life's way of saying, hey, what you're doing, it's not working. You need to change your approach. So he says, even if it's about a topic I have already encountered, just to see if there's a new way of looking at things like there always is in life. Since I've been following your work, I have been on countless dates, but with most of them, I liked the woman, but wasn't that into it. And the important thing is you didn't stop and just say, oh, well, I guess this is good enough, and talk yourself into it. And I discuss that a lot in my book because I did that a lot in my 20s. And most people do that, and they never change, and it's so sad. He says, a couple of weeks ago, I started dating a girl I found on Tinder, and we just have this chemistry, which helped me understand why all those other dates didn't go anywhere. An item on my list was that I wanted a girl who I can really laugh with and who has the same dorky sense of humor as me. On the first date, we laughed all the way through it. It's really nice when you meet somebody and you just click, and the chemistry's easy and effortless, and they laugh at your jokes, and they're affectionate right away, and it just making love just happens naturally. Usually, like in my experience, each time I start a new relationship, it usually happens on the first date, and it's magical because the feeling that it was meant to be. And what's interesting is as I discuss things when I start a new relationship, it's like that first date. It's like I find out the women were doing the same thing. They made their own list of what they were looking for, and we have so many things in common. It's so easy to be with them. We don't run out of things to talk about because we have so many similar goals, similar values, similar interests. Just like probably every one of you that's watching this has experienced when you met a best friend of yours in life. You just clicked. It's just easy to be with that person. It's the same thing when it comes to lovers, but most people, they don't learn the skills, they don't fill in their knowledge gap, and they don't become proficient at it, and they don't circulate enough because they're so worried that they're never going to find somebody better than what they already have. And so that fear just keeps them locked in place, and they tell themselves a story to justify their continued settling. He says, within 5 minutes of sitting down, she looked at my lips like they were a 1+1 free deal at a shoe store. Or you mean, I assume you're probably saying buy one, get one free kind of thing. Needless to say, I went for the kiss and she didn't hesitate at all. That's what's so nice about going out with women like this. Because I've read plenty of stories where guys go for the kiss and the girl turns her head and they get the cheek. And they continue going out with her, like 3 or 4 dates or 6 dates in. I talked to a guy the other day who has been dating this girl for a year. He's driving her around. He's fixing things at her house. They're making out, but no sex is happening. And she's just constantly pushing him away, not ready for a relationship. And he's just hanging in there. He's still doing too much pursuing. But you could just see it's like, God, a whole year of his life. And here it is, like, on the first date, within 5 minutes of sitting down, they're making out. And it's fucking wonderful when it's like that. When you get really good at this stuff, the way your love stories will go, the way your relationships will start out, is that you'll be single, you'll be ready, willing, able, and open to meeting the next great love of your life, and then it'll just happen. And the chemistry will be instantaneous. You'll feel it right away. And the first time you experience that and you have a great relationship with somebody like that and they fall in love with you and you're in love with them, you're spoiled for life. You can't ever go back to mediocrity. It's like going from driving a Lambo or a Ferrari to a Toyota Camry. Now, Camrys are nice cars, but I mean, come on, a Ferrari, a Lambo, I mean, there's nothing like the best. And if you don't feel like you have the best, you're just never going to really put the effort into it to make it spectacular. He says, last Saturday we went bowling on the second date and she couldn't keep her hands off me. And I wrote about several girlfriends that I had. It was like this when it just happened from the beginning. Remember, attraction is not a choice. Mother Nature had already taken care of this ahead of time before they ever met and knew each other. When we got back to my place, I took 2 steps forward and 1 step back. During the day, I watched all videos about this topic and again read the part about it in your book. So this guy's going out on a date and he really likes this girl. So what's he doing? He's reviewing fundamentals. This is what a guy that plays in the NFL does. This is what a guy that plays in the NBA does, or Major League Soccer, or baseball. The best people prepare. It's like Confucius said, success depends on prior preparation. Without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. He prepared himself. Even though he's got a date set up, he's even reviewing some fundamentals. So what do you think happens when he goes out on the date? He knows exactly what to do. And the more times you experience this, the easier it gets. And it's just magical now to go from being single, not knowing somebody, then you meet them, and then you're just always together. And it's just fucking magical. And I can sit here and I can talk about that. I can describe it in my book, and I can describe it in countless videos, and I can read emails like this from guys like this that are experiencing this for the first time in their lives. But it's kind of like me trying to describe what a rose looks like and smells like when you've never even seen a rose. You have to experience it, but in order to experience it, you got to do the work and you got to prepare. He says, after only getting my hands on her shirt, she couldn't take it anymore, and we annoyed my neighbors 5 times during the night. That's fucking awesome, dude. This is just an email to say thanks because I now look back on things and realize all the things that I was doing wrong. Without proper examples from parents, it's up to yourself to get the knowledge. And now I'm helping a friend of mine, directing him to your work, and I give him tips as well because I now understand the fundamentals. It's so important. You got to put time in. It's anything in life, whether it's a career or getting in really great shape or making a business really successful that started out as just an idea that you scribbled on a cocktail napkin one night. You have to put the time in. There's no shortcuts to success. This guy put in 2 fucking years. Most people that seek out and find work like mine, they're thinking initially, I just need a pickup line. What's the quick fix? there's more to it. If you want sustainable success that will last a lifetime, because once you get this handled, you spend a couple of years really focusing on this. I mean, you can get dropped into any city around the world and meet somebody in a short period of time and just have a great experience. And you don't feel like you need a wingman or somebody there with you. You can go by yourself and meet somebody and just boom, it just happens. He says it's become counterintuitive. Little tests are a good way to banter with women. And you can feel it in your gut when she tries to do it. Friends of mine are asking if we are in a relationship right now, but I know better than worry about label stuff like that. I'm just going to focus on doing what we are doing now, having awesome dates. What's the formula in the book? Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Thank you, Coach. I'm looking forward to your next video. Well, thanks for the great success story, and thanks for being another great example and leader, because he's helping another friend of his. And the more people that learn this stuff and pass it on, the better it makes the world a better place. And one thing, I saw a lot of comments the other day when I was talking about my book and making sure that you have the second edition, because there's two covers. You got the cover with me with long hair, and you got the cover with the shaved head. And my Lulu.com publisher, the ones that are distributed through Amazon, through Lulu.com, they've got the old cover with me with long hair, but it is the second edition of the book. Now, the ones that are published directly through Amazon.com's publishing company actually have me with the shaved head. So if you want to know for sure whether or not your book is a second edition, open up the book, and on the second page, you'll see copyright 2013. So if it says copyright 2013, you have the second edition. You have the most current edition. If you have one that says any time prior to 2013, then what that means is you've got the first edition. And the first edition, you might as well recycle it, because, I mean, that book was written 10 years ago, and it was just when texting was starting to become popular. And we've got all these digital apps and all these different things. I mean, the book is, it's 50 pages longer with all the videos and things that I've referenced through it, and different materials and things I've added just to make the book the best coaching manual that I can possibly put out there. And every 5 or 10 years, I'll probably revise and edit the edition. But again, if you open the second page of the book, just turn to the second page, you'll see it'll say copyright 2013. That means it's a second edition. And like I said, I may have the hair grown out, or it may be short. As long as it says 2013, it's a second edition. Doesn't matter what which cover version you happen to have. Hopefully that clears up the confusion. I don't get barraged by another tons of questions asking me the same thing. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.